How's it going, guys? My name is Tyler Jackson, host of the TDT Outdoors podcast. I'm really excited about this. This is something I've been wanting to put together for a while now. What I want to do is I'm just going to bring various hunters onto this podcast from Ohio and talk to them about some of their strategies, their stories of their success, and everything like that. Today I'm honored. I have a really good friend here. Sam Breedlove is here with me today. How you doing, Sam?
I'm good.
I want to be asking some questions, but one of the first things I just wanted to ask you, Sam, is like, what was the moment in your life where like you knew that you had a passion for hunting? And like you just knew like from then you were going to be hooked on it the rest of your life. Like where did it start?
Well, I'd say it all started out. I grew up in a different way than I am now. I kind of grew up meat hunting for sake.
Right.
And well, I hunted probably 5 years before I ever killed one. And I went in and my stepdad had taken me in and he sprayed deer pee on my boots. And he had sent me off on my own and he was like, "Hey, you just need to watch behind you because they might track you in." And I just, as a kid, you're just like, whatever. Well, I had got to the front of my tree and I was going to spray some deer pee on the ground. Well, I did, and I turned around, and this was during youth gun season, and I had turned around, and here come a buck trailing me, sniffing my foot tracks. And I had shot at him and missed. And so I was kind of bummed out. Well, I called my stepdad, and he said, "Just get in the tree and just sit down." He's like, "He could come back." And when you're a kid, you're like, "Man, I just shot. He's gone."
No patience whatsoever.
So I reload. I'm using the muzzleloader.
Mm.
I reload. I get up in my tree stand. I'm sitting there. Don't see a thing till about 20 minutes before last light. There used to be an old fence post just to the right of my stand, and I always would mistake it for a deer at a low light. Well, I looked down and I'm like, "Oh, it's just that fence post," and then it flickered its ear, and I was like, "Oh." Well, it was that buck. He was like 20, 25 yards. I shoot, and he just stands there. I'm like, "Man, what?" So he walks out into the field about 50 yards and he just stands there. Well, I shoot again. Well, he just stands there, looks around, then he lays down. So I had gotten down. And I walk out there and that deer was shot both times in the heart. And from that moment forward, I was just hooked.
That's wild. Because the first thing I was going to ask you was who sighted in this gun? If you're I be kinds are missing, but
It was shot both times right in the heart. But the first time I did miss. But like after I was in the stand, shot both times, he was shot right in the heart. Never ran, never flickered his tail, never fell. He laid down like he was going to sleep, and I walked out there, and there he was. He was dead.
that's wild. And I think is like that brings up another good topic too. I know we talked about this before, like how strong deer are. Like, my girlfriend shot a deer this year, and we thought that she put a good shot on it. It might have nipped a lung, but like it survived through that stuff. So like, it doesn't really shock me that she can get ill heart.
It is there. People don't give him enough credit. This deer right here lived for at least 10 hours that I know of, with both lungs clipped and a hole right through the liver from a G5 megameter.
Wow.
So they're tough. They're nothing to play around with. They are tough.
Wow. And I think I was thinking about like I remember back in my youth hunting days, like with my dad, and I started out hunting in just a double man live stand with him, and it was during like prime youth season, and we're hearing gunshots like all around us, and he's like, sit tight," and I'm sitting there, and then all of a sudden this doe comes busting out of the woods, and I'm already ready to shoot bad. He's like, just wait, 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 wait. He's like, just wait, and I'm waiting, and then here comes this buck chasing her, and they ran a whole full circle around the field and circled right in front of me, and I shot and missed as well. But like that was like a moment for me where I was like, man, like I was bummed, but like the adrenaline rushes is something you don't get to experience at all.
It's I've done a lot of things, and there's nothing that even comes close. I mean, I just watched the episode of Jelly Roll going deer hunting, and he think about how much that man has knows his life. And he said there is nothing that compares to it.
Right.
And that's just the truth. There's nothing.
That's awesome.
Nothing like it.
That's awesome. We all start somewhere. So like, that's important to know, like, what it all comes back to, what's most important. So another question I have is so many people talk about like deer hunting in Ohio, especially because of how big our deer get compared to other states. Like there's people coming from other states all the way into Ohio, hunting on leases and stuff and hunting. So like, what are your thoughts on that? Do you really think that Ohio has some of the most biggest deer and like the best deer hunting experiences?
Yeah. I think that there's a top 5 states, and I would say they have to deal with it as much as we do. as in like Kansas, Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, us. I would say I would say that we all have to deal with that the same amount, and I think we all have similar caliber deer compared to states like South Carolina, Florida, North Carolina, just those like southern states in general. Their bodies don't get as big, their antlers don't get as big because their other bones don't get as big.
Right.
So I mean, if you're, I mean, imagine you're hunting your big deer in your state is a 110-inch deer,
Right.
and you're seeing these guys killing 190s like it's going out of style up north. You're like, man, I want to go up there.
Yeah. Like, what are we missing?
So I mean, I definitely could see why they would want to come up here. Now, granted, it's not as easy as some people may
They design you. Yeah.
because it's a struggle, and trust me.
Absolutely. And that thing is like, us being in Southern Ohio, by the way, we're from Southern Ohio. In Kentucky, like I have buddies in Kentucky that shoot deer and they claim that those deer are giant down there. And, it's, this is considered a giant, right here. But like, you just see the difference. And like, that's just a state, not too,
It's all state to state.
yeah.
But I also think that like the farther north in Kentucky you go, the more similar you're going to get to having deer like this.
Right.
The farther south you go, the more you're going to be more towards a Tennessee or a North Carolina
Right.
category deer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So another thing I want to talk to you about is like, what's your setup during bow season? So like, I know people love, live or die by compound bows. Some people love crossbows. You have the differences of people saying, oh, crossbow people just are little girls and don't like to shoot compound. But I got to give it like, I shoot a compound and I'm pretty sure you shoot a crossbow.
Yeah.
But the crossbow helps out disable people and stuff like that. But I was just curious on what your setup was,
So
and what's worked best for you.
I've used them all. I've killed them with a compound. I've killed them with a crossbow, and it all just depends. I have both, but I run into, like I said, killing mature deer every year isn't as easy as make people make it seem to be.
Right.
So I don't get that many opportunities a year. So what I run into with having both is I'll be getting ready to go hunt, and I'll look up on the wall, and there's my crossbow, and there's my compound. My crossbow I can confidently shoot 50 yards with, and my compound I can confidently shoot 30. And I'm like, man, I'm just gonna take my crossbow.
Because you just never know.
Yeah, because you never know. And then there's also different times, like sometimes I saddle hunt, sometimes I'll hunt on the ground, sometimes I hunt out of a box blind. And I hunt all different types of land. I hunt public and I hunt private. So it all just depends. Sometimes I'll take a compound and sometimes I'll take a crossbow. I think a crossbow is great for kids and for disabled people. And then I also think, like, if you want to shoot a compound, then shoot a compound. If that's what makes you happy. I know people that would rather eat their tag than shoot a crossbow.
Right.
I'm just not that way. And this thing walks in, I don't care if I got a crossbow, a compound, or a rifle.
Right.
This gets me excited.
Right.
So, I mean, I use it all.
Absolutely. And that's another thing, like, and it's crazy how crossbows have you like evolve over time. Like people would say you could get the same type of speed, but crossbows are almost shooting as fast as compounds are. So
Well, actually, the crossbows will shoot faster nowadays. Like my crossbow shoots 410 feet per second.
that's insane.
And wildly enough, this is how much power a crossbow really has. I took my 7-year-old daughter hunting this year, and we shoot a Barnett Hyper Raptor crossbow with Barnett Headhunter bolts and G5 Megameats. Well, somehow our bow got bumped off, and we didn't know it. So we're setting in the blind. We got the bow locked in the bog pod. She's holding steady on the deer. I had a phone mounted to the scope so you can see it. And she squeezes the trigger. The arrow hits the deer right in the skull plate, and it goes clear through the skull plate.
Oh my goodness.
People have trouble with a compound getting through a shoulder blade. Now I know that all depends on your setup,
Right.
but that just goes to show right there that
They're strong.
they're tough.
That's wild. Yeah, and actually, I remember you actually showing me the footage of that, and like I when you told me, I just didn't believe you at all, and then you showed me the footage, and I'm like, you're not lying. It definitely, yeah, that's wild. It's insane to think about. And
It's crazy the power that a crossbow has. And like I said, I don't really have a preference for the simple fact that I've shot them with both. I like both. And if they ever outlawed one or the other, I wouldn't be mad.
I think it's important that, like you said, like in terms of because deer don't always do what we think they might do. They might not. You might be set up for them to come walking in a trail 20 yards, but they might not. They might not come any closer than 50 yards. So, like, if you feel more comfortable shooting a crossbow at 50 yards,
Why
all
not?
right, why not take it?
That's
Frame it.
I would personally rather than someone not taking a crossbow because they feel, I don't know how, the word for it, but I would rather take a crossbow being confident in it and shoot their 1 buck a year, make a clean shot, a clean kill, than take a compound not being able to shoot it very well and wound 3 before they kill one or something.
Absolutely.
So I personally think crossbows are a good thing.
Good. That's awesome. Yeah, I was just curious on what your setup was and what you thought was best. So my next question is like for ladder stands, hang on stands, and climbers, there's so many ways that you can like have the advantage on, mature deer. So like I was just curious on what you like to hunt out of the most. I know you have a saddle. I know you've had hang-ons and stuff like that. So like I just want to get your opinion on that as well.
Yeah, I like it all. It all depends on where I'm hunting, how I'm hunting. It all just depends. Like I've I like box blinds. A lot of people don't like them. To take a kid or to hunt a managed farm, like my dad has a managed farm that I hunt. I love to hunt out of his box blind. It's warm, it's quiet. You can get around with a little bit of movement. And then like if I'm hunting public land, which I do a lot.
Okay.
I like to hunt out of my saddle. Or if I'm hunting a real heavy, like area with a lot of coverage up in the trees, but the bottoms are open, I'll hunt on the ground. That way I can see as far as I can.
Right.
A lot of times, if you get up in a tree, you can see a lot farther, but sometimes with the foliage,
It doesn't work out that way.
it doesn't work out that way. So sometimes I sit on the ground, or I've even got a ghost blind, and sometimes I sit on the ground and use that thing. So I really use all different methods depending on the situation I'm in. I've used climbers, I've used mobile hang-ons, I really like my saddle a lot. But like I said, I've used them all and I think there's good purposes for all of them.
And that's another thing. So like you mentioned box blinds and like I think deer get used to those over time. Like I don't really think it sketches them out as if they were walking past, down a trail and you get caught moving in a tree. They might look at that tree every single time. But if a box blind's sitting there 24/7, I feel like they don't really think too much about it.
So I'm glad you said that. I've got mutual feelings about a box blind. I think once they're established, so let's say you get permission on this farm this year and you go in and you hunt all year, you're having great success. And then you put a box blind in and your deer go nocturnal, or they just aren't moving as much, or they'll skirt that box blind. A big mature deer, I think, does get spooked by those big blinds right off the rip. Now, I think a deer that was 1 or 2 or 3 years old when that blind was put there, by the time he's 4 or 5 or 6, he's going to get used to that blind. Yes.
Gotcha.
I think it all just depends on how much pressure is in the area you're hunting as well.
Right.
Because if they've been shot out of those before, they're going to be nervous about them.
I see.
And if they're a deer that's never seen one before, they might be a little nervous about them. Right. But if they've seen one before and nothing's ever happened to them, they might just be like, they might just look at it and do their thing.
And I don't think I've ever hunted out of a box blind unit now that I think about it. Like I've always just done tree stands and stuff and suffered in the cold. So if anybody out there's got a box blind I can hunt out of, please reach out. Oh, I will gladly hunt at it. So the next thing I'll talk about is like the rut. So the rut is the best time to get a mature buck. Everybody knows. It's the best chance that you have for them to slip up. So I was just curious, like, what is your perfect scenario and setup? Like when it's the best, I imagine it's the best time of the rut. The deer are just moving, the perfect weather and everything. What setup are you gonna ideally set up at where you think you have the best chance?
Well, there's two different scenarios to that for the rut, depending on the morning and evening. So in the morning times, I'll normally set up in a transition area from bedding to bedding, or I'll literally set up right in the bedding. While they're out feeding in the dark, I'll go in and get set up in a bedding area and then catch the deer coming back in and then those bucks cruising late morning.
Right.
And then in the evenings, I kind of do this all year round. I will hunt a transition area from bedding to food. And it later, like later in the season, I get lazy and I get in that box barn and
With the little
I
Abby's.
I stay warm. I'll be in there eating little Debbie's and drinking the Red Bulls and just being lazy, just hoping one comes in. And late season is a great time to hunt as well. Like I would if I don't kill one in the rut, I almost bet on late season because the deer gotta eat. They gotta move. It's cold. Their food's getting slim. They've got to do it. So, but my perfect scenarios is normally from I'll be either in a bedding area or a transition area from bedding to bedding in the mornings, and then a transition area from bedding to food in the evenings during pretty much all of November.
Gotcha. And another thing I was thinking about, just as you mentioned it, like the transitioning from bedding and bedding to bedding. Like I think about when you said that, I think about my property and the way that I don't hunt it, and I never really ever hunted it that way. Where like I'm kind of in the bedding. I've always like and been like in between, which is okay, but as we looked at different maps on Onyx and stuff like that, just trying to think of the ways that mature deer would use it and try to figure out if a doe was in heat or not. Like you have to think of the best scenario and spot to be in terms of that as well. But like if you're in the bedding, I mean, if there's that one hot doe in there, your chances
Or high.
are high.
And then you've also got to think like the wind and the thermals.
Yeah.
In the mornings, the thermals are rising, and in the evenings, they're dropping. So, if you can get in a bedding area or on the edge of the bedding area, if you can get downwind with the thermals in your favor in November,
It's key.
it's key. Like if you can, I personally think that thermals are superior over wind. I personally do. A lot of people don't agree with that, and that's okay, but I believe so because every single day the thermals do the same thing. In the mornings, they go up.
Yeah.
In the evenings, they come down. The wind's always changing. So a deer can never 100% of the time have the wind in his favor. He's eventually going to have to go across wind or coming downwind or coming upwind of whatever he's trying to do. Eventually, he's going to have to. Whether he's 400 yards from it or 20 yards from it, he's going to have to.
Right.
So I believe that thermals are superior to wind. But if you can get both of those in your favor in the rut, in a bedding area, and if that hot doe's in there, you've pretty much already yes, right?
That's right. Yes.
You're in the hole.
And that's another thing. So, like you're talking about, like no matter what, like a buck can't have it always in his favor. So, like using terrain, like creek crossings, ridges, and stuff like that. Like just watch, paying it out, paying the picture on what these deer are going to do. I think is important, and I think a lot more people should pay attention to that. Because I think you're right. Like that was another thing I remember talking to somebody one time about if deer you like actually walk with the wind to their face all the time, and the dude swore by it. And I'm like, there's really no way. Like, I think they only use the wind when they feel like it's necessary. So if something's
Yeah.
spooky or something, if they want to check an area, they'll always go downwind. But it doesn't mean we're going to be
Doing it all the time.
doing it all the time.
I agree with that. I'd have to say, I mean, think about it. If they're coming to a food source and leaving a food source and the wind's blowing the same way the whole time, how is he going to have the wind in his favor to go back and forth to his bedding area? It's not possible.
It's not possible.
So I think like I just think the thermals are more superior. If you can hunt the tops in the mornings, bottoms in the evenings, you're in there.
In there. It's awesome.
Like this deer right here.
Yeah, I was just curious. I was gonna say I'm gonna actually talk about this freaking giant that sits between us here. So kind of give you the rundown on like what happened. Like what's the full story on this?
This deer has a funny story. So our brother-in-law, he'd been hunting this property since he was just a kid with his dad. And he'd always told me, he's like, man, we always see big bucks down there. We can't never seem to kill them. Can't ever seem to get in range with them. Yada, yada, yada. He'd always been wanting to take me down there, but we were kids. Like, we didn't have no way down there.
Right.
So 2022, yeah, 2022, he gets a hold of me. He's like, hey, I want you to go down there with me, check this place out, and we're gonna talk to the homeowner, see if I can get your permission. So I said, okay. So we go down there, we go up to the guy's house, and he's like, yeah, I don't care if you hunt. So he gives me a permission slip. We go down in there, and his plan was we was gonna find him a spot to hunt, me a spot to hunt. So I walk the property, and there's 4 or 5 other guys that hunt this property. And I check it out, and I'm like, okay, well, all 4 or 5 of those guys are hunting one field. And this is a 250-acre CRP field with fence rows and little ditch lines. And then all the way around the outside is a creek and then woods all the way around it. And we just got little ditch lines and little blocks of woods and stuff on the property. So we go and we check it out, and he picks out a spot. Like I reference him a spot, and so we set him up, and then I go walking around. Then I pick out a spot. Well, we put up cell cams, and I mean we're checking it out. Nothing, nothing to get excited about.
Yeah.
And then we had went down. I want to say it was October the 6th, and hunting, and I didn't see a single deer, not a single deer. And I was like, man, there's just, you know how it is. You're looking at the CRP field, untouched. This bottom 100 acres of it's like untouched, and you're just like, man, there's gotta be deer here. Why am I not seeing anything?
No way.
So I get down after my hunt's over, and I walk the perimeter of this property again. I'm walking, and I'm like, man, I found a spot. There was 5 trails intersecting, and like 5 trails coming out of the grass, led into one trail across the creek. I was like, I'm hanging a camera right here. Like, good. I think this is gonna be good. I hung a camera up there and left. This is like 12:30 in the middle of the day. By the time I got home, it was about 2 o'clock, and I already had a big one on camera.
Was it him?
It wasn't him.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, this is good. So time goes on, and I'm working and can't get down there. Well, finally, I got to hunt it one more time late October. I hunted that stand, and I seen a nice buck. It was a real nice 8-point, but young. And I let him go. I was like, he'll be a good one. So he goes on, and I had seen a few does, nothing other to talk about, and that was that. And my brother-in-law said he's seen a few small ones, and he actually had seen a piebald doe. And so we were kind of excited about the piebald doe.
Something you're gonna see often.
Yeah. So we get done, we're headed back to the house, and I told him, I was like, I think this place is gonna fire up during November. Well, sure enough, it did. Like, the later we got into October, like the last 8 days of October, it was just on fire. Well, I wasn't able to hunt until, I want to say this was November the 12th. And I wasn't able to hunt till that day because I had work. Well, my boss was leaving for a month, so I was going to be off for a whole month, and the whole month of November and gun season.
Yeah.
So I was ecstatic.
This perfect scenario, perfect dream.
And me and Tyler and a few of our buddies are in a group chat. Well, we had seen this cold front pushing in for weeks, and we had been talking about it. It's going to be gas, it's going to be fire. We were pumped. Well, time comes, and my brother-in-law shows up to my house late, and so we had to turn around, and then I forgot my phone. We had to turn around again, got the phone, we're on our way. It's 25 minutes after legal shooting. Like, I'm climbing up this tree in a climber. Well, I had talked to my brother-in-law about setting on the creek side this day. Well, he didn't want to. He wanted to sit in his original spot, which was fine. Well, I'm getting up this tree, and the doe's blowing at me. And I'm just like, what is happening?
Right.
So I'm over it. I just like throw my hands up at her, and she scurries out of there. And I finished getting up my tree, and I'm like, I didn't even climb all the way up, actually. I was about 12 feet in the tree, and I was like, screw it. I sat down, I pulled my bow out, sat my bow across the railing. And I'm sitting there, I'm texting my brother-in-law, and he's like, dude, I'm seeing bucks everywhere. I'm like, well, my hunt's over. Like, I just had a doe blow up. I mean, I threw my hands up at her.
Worst thing possible.
And I'm like, it's over. And he's like, let's just sit tight and see what happens. And I'm like, all right. Well, this doe's just running around this field blowing at me. And I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. Well, finally she leaves. Well, about that time, a buddy of ours, Richie, had called me. He was like, dude, I just smoked a good one. And we're talking, and I heard something. I was like, dude, I gotta get off here. I hear something. So I hung up, and I look up, and all I see is this dude coming through the grass. And I'm like, I'm about to fall out of the tree. Like, I can't believe this is happening. So he comes in, I shoot him, he goes down, whatever. And I'm pumped. Like, I actually was getting down so fast, I threw my binoculars out of the tree and broke them. I threw my Ozonics unit out of the tree, broke it. I almost dropped my bag, and I was like, no, I put it on my back. I lowered my bow down, I climbed down, we go out there. I had called my brother-in-law and was like, dude, I shot a giant. He was like, no way. I'm like, dude, I shot a giant. Well, he had actually seen this deer walk all the way down the opposite side of the field he was on to me, where I had told him to sit. If he would have been sitting where I had told him to sit that where he would have shot this deer at like 5 yards. Well, So he's texting and he's already seen like 10 bucks. This was the craziest morning in the woods I've ever had. And I'm like, just stay there, dude. Like, I'll go to the car, I'll chill for a while. You just keep hunting, like hunt till noon or something. He was like, no, I gotta see this deer. He wouldn't sit. And I was like, so he comes down, we're celebrating, While we were standing there just chatting it up over this deer and, calling people, we had 10 deer go within 20 yards of us. We're standing in the CRP field talking around this deer. Every buck I had on camera that year came within 20 yards of us while we were standing there by this deer, including like a 150-inch 10 point.
Oh my goodness.
And my brother-in-law couldn't find him in the scope. I have one picture of him chasing a doe a couple days before that.
Wow.
And I just happened to be lucky. He came in with the wind to his favor. He was in the bottom in the morning. He was on the top. When he had come down that field to me, he was up on the tops in the morning. And I was down in the bottom, kind of contradicting what I would normally do.
Right.
But I was hunting it according to everyone else's pressure. So he comes down into that bottom and he had heard that doe blowing. He came down there downwind of her to check her out and see if she was to eat.
That's wild, and it's, I sit here and look at this deer and like the body on this deer is massive. Like, and you can just tell like a deer when they age, the like the passionate on his face, like where he's getting kind of gray.
But they call that big, like round spot in his nose something. Roman nose, I think.
Roman nose.
He's just got a freaking brick of a head.
Oh my gosh. And look at the body. I mean, like I said, my first deer is mounted downstairs. And when you brought the send an A, and I'm like, just the difference. Like, but this is wild. It's insulting, honestly. But yeah, that's insane. So how many points total?
13.
13. And what was the score?
He scored 160 and 3/8.
That's crazy. That is a massive, mature whitetail buck right there.
The taxidermist had guesstimated him. Like I said, I only had one picture of the deer my first year on the property, so I don't have I can't tell you he's 6 years old, 7 years old, but the taxidermist told me that he guessed him between 8, no, 6 and 8
6 and 8.
is what it was.
Yeah, right. That's a big body deer, dude. Wow.
And he's a toad. Like if you hold him up, I've got a 5-year-old deer that I've killed at home or mount, and I've got this deer when I had him before we skull capped him, and then I've got another probably 4-year-old deer at home that if you just hang them up side by side, it's like, wow, this thing's just a horse.
This is a monster. I've never seen that as a big body deer. And that's what I'm saying. Like in Ohio, like these deer are just so like, and I say typical because like they just get to this size, and I think it all plays a role into like, the food that they ate.
Sure.
And just the environment they're in, it allows them to get this big.
The minerals that we're allowed to feed them.
Yes.
All the feed that we feed them that they would have like in a perfect habitat situation. Like we're able to bring that to them in every situation. So it allows them to just
That's awesome.
blow up. Like it isn't like anything like it was back in the old days. Like
Right.
them old guys had it rough. Us young guns, we gotta leave.
We gotta leave them. I know all the time. I mean, it's sometimes it's rough. So that's another thing. Like you're talking about hunting pressure and how you hunted this deer, based on pressure where everybody else was and wasn't. But like, then one of my other questions on here is like the moon. Like, how do you feel about moon phases? Do you think it's actually true what people say about moon phases and how deer move more like during certain moon phases? Or
I know I'm gonna stir up some controversy with this one, but I don't pay a bit of attention to the moon. I don't think that me personally that I don't think the moon has a single thing to do with deer movement.
gotcha.
Well, let me take that back. I do think they will move midday on a full moon and later at night. But as in like they're gonna be at this spot at this time, no, I don't.
Right.
I don't pay any attention to the moon.
Yeah, because I know there's like the red moon guide and stuff.
No, the red moon. I've seen a lot of people have success off the red moon, so it may have something to do with it. Maybe I should look farther into it. But as of right now, I don't pay much attention to it.
I see a lot of people like on like the Deer Society and stuff all say they pay attention to the moon phases and stuff like that. And even I told you I was trying to get a buck that I have on camera and tried to, get in the best spot based on red moon week.
Yeah.
And like I didn't even see a single thing. So it's kind of hard. And I think it's just one of those like things that nobody's really sure of. So I was just curious.
That's the thing. Is there's just so many things that people talk about that get debunked. Every time you go hunting, you're like, this dude just told me this, and that deer just did that. Like,
Yeah,
that doesn't even make sense.
right.
I just don't think anybody's got them figured out. Like, I don't think anyone will ever figure them out. If you can figure out what's inside that, you've got her made.
And I think that's why it makes hunting so just so special.
So much of a challenge.
So much of a challenge, so so fun. Yeah, if somebody had figured it out where every single person was doing the same thing and having the same success,
It wouldn't be as fun.
yeah, fun.
It'd be called killing.
Yep,
It wouldn't be called hunting because you'd be able to go hunting one time and kill one.
exactly.
Like, it's just, yeah.
So I know that you've been super successful this year because I know you've harvested another deer, and your kids have also shot multiple deer this year during the youth season. So like, what is the consistent part that like each of those hunts have had with you harvesting these deer? So like, and what lesson do you like hope your kids learn from this, like like hunting?
Well, first off, I just hope they get bit with the bug like I did.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna just tell you because I was there that they did. And we just the farm that we actually all three, me and both my daughters killed our bucks off of. We killed them out of the same blind, out of the same farm, all within a week.
Same.
And it's just a strategy that's finally come together. It's my dad's farm. We've been working on it for 5 or 6 years now. Just trying to create bedding around the edges to get the deer to bed on us, and then draw them to the center for the fifth feeding of the day in the evening. So we want them to come to the center of our property, and that's just what we've worked on, and it's working. Like every year, it's improving more and more, and it worked. We were able to kill 3 bucks off of it in a week.
Wow.
Granted, my two daughters, they didn't shoot nothing big or mature, but it was their first ones. It was great, but still 3 bucks out of the same barn in the same week.
You did something right.
It something's working.
Something's working.
And I think it's just our plan, building around the edges, getting some bedding going, and then feeding in the center of the place, trying to draw them in.
Right. And this is the deer you harvested this year, correct?
Yeah, this is a good order from this year.
Go ahead and hold it up there and curl the camera over there. So like this is the deer that Sam harvested this year. Great looking buck. And one of the special things about this rack right now is not the antlers. It's the metal tag that hangs on the antlers. Like something that just doesn't exist anymore. So tell me about the tag and some of the remarks that people have made about the tag.
So this tag is I had got it from the Mobile Hunters Expo this year. And it puts you in a drawing and stuff, and I wanted one because I thought it was cool. I just thought it was interesting and it was cool. The guys from the Mobile Hunter Expo podcast, they're great guys, all super cool to talk to. And if you kill a buck, they give you one of those at the expo. If you kill a buck and you're subscribed and following their page, then it gets you a chance to go on their podcast and talk. So I thought it was cool when I got one. Well, little did I know, it was just going to tear everybody up. So when I killed this buck, I was super pumped about it, put this tag on it, and, shared it off. Well, I've had a lot of messages asking me about this tag. Where'd you get that tag? Is that real? Like, everything you can imagine. I even had someone tell me that my deer was photoshopped because
Because of the
that tag.
They're like, they don't have those anymore. It's got to be fake.
Yeah, everybody thought it was photoshopped, and it was just the tag. No one was like, hey, man, that's a nice buck. Everybody's like, where'd you get that tag at?
Right. Yeah, I remember we posted on Facebook and there was a bunch of people was talking about that. So I figured I'd ask you about it.
It's yeah, that tag is it's a conversation piece to say the least.
Yeah. So it's funny because that leads to one of the last few questions I have. Everybody says Ohio is very strict in their laws of nature with ODNR and stuff like that. So like, what is one like Ohio hunting law that you wish that could be changed? Like, what's one thing you don't like, or not really but like you just don't. It doesn't make sense that it shouldn't even be established.
Mm,
And I guess I can give you a prime example to start off with. Like, I think that one law that could be changed would honestly be like the counties per deer. And I understand that you're limiting deer that are being killed, so you keep the population. But like some of the other populations up north, like where Like I'm trying to think of Adams County.
or south before EHD, like around, yes, around Meigs County and Athens County, there was deer galore there.
Yeah, exactly. So I know you can only have one buck per year, which I think should stay. But I think that like I'm trying to think of the right way to say it. I think that the counties that have more deer should have an exception to tag another antlered deer. Um,
Yeah, I could see that, but
at least when most of their numbers every year, not every year thing, but like where the population is getting overboard in certain counties, like that, those counties maybe should have this exception. And then,
well, I agree with that somewhat. In other ways, I don't like. You give somebody 2 tags, for instance. Let's say they go out and they're hunting hard and they kill their target buck, 180 inch or whatever, a mature 4 or 5, 6-year-old deer. And then they're like, so they go out and get their second buck tag and they're hunting another mature deer. But it's getting late in the season, so a 3-year-old walks in and they kill it. Well, that's a 3-year-old that's never going to reach its potential.
understandable.
So I mean, there's good and bad to that. But for me, the one law, I'm glad you brought this up, and I can't believe it didn't pop right into my head right away because I dwell on this all the time. No, I don't hate out of staters. I do think that we should limit them, as into why are we the only state that has giants that they don't have to draw to get into?
I'm saying,
We need to put them on a draw system and limit them. And I also don't think they should be able to come up here and just buy all the land up and lease all the land up.
right,
It makes it hard for your average Joe like you and I to get permission somewhere to hunt.
right,
Which, whatever, more money, whatever, that's fine.
right,
But I just think we should put a draw on 'em to limit them.
right.
And then I think that would give our herd more of a chance.
I agree.
Like, I just feel like it would let a lot more of our deer grow to maturity levels. Because think about it, you come up here from South Carolina, you hunted all week on public land or on your lease, and you didn't see anything but a 120-inch, 2, 3-year-old deer, and the last day it comes in, you're going to shoot it because you don't want to go home empty handed. There's a deer that's never going to reach maturity level.
Right.
I'm not saying that us Ohioans never kill a deer that isn't mature because it happens all the time.
Right.
But if we limit the out of staters, that's going to cut those numbers down a lot, I would say.
I agree with you on that. And I guess another thing, talking about like pricing, like the permit cost
Needs to go up.
needs to go up and
Way at it.
out of staters come in, and I mean, and I think about it too because we went down to Tennessee just for a fishing trip a few years ago, and I could not believe the price that Tennessee would charge you for just a whole week of a
It's
fish.
how money was that fishing, though.
I mean, it was really good. So that's what I'm saying. And Tennessee knows that their fishing's good. So they're gonna get your money is that way.
That's what that's why we need to upcharge. Like, we have to bring our prices up for our hunting costs for out of staters. It's just, they need to be put on a drum, and that price needs to go up for sure. Like I said, I don't hate out of staters. I have a lot of out of stater buddies that come here and hunt.
Yeah.
I think we need to limit them.
I agree. I agree.
Bro, we can't go to Illinois and hunt without drawing.
Right.
We can't go to Kansas and hunt without drawing. We can't go to Colorado and hunt elk without drawing.
I should think.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, the last question I got for you, and I'm sure there's been plenty of hunts that just didn't work out. And I mean, we all experience those hunts that don't work out, but like, what's the best advice you can give another hunter out there that's struggling and is not seeing the results that they want? And just what advice could you give them just to keep their head up? Because it's not always easy, like you said. So
2 things. There's
life is partly towards me.
the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results.
Absolutely.
So if something's not working, change it. Don't just keep doing it. If it worked one time and it hasn't worked for 2, 3 years, change it. Don't keep doing it over and over and expecting something different to happen. Stay persistent and stay patient. And just hunt as smart as you can. Like, don't give up. If I hadn't tagged out, I would be hunting every single evening that I could. I don't give up.
Right.
And that's the thing. You've got to stay persistent, but you got to stay patient too.
Yes.
Like, if you want to kill a big one, you're not going to kill them.
Right.
Shoot them when they're small just because it's late in the season and you haven't had a chance.
Right.
Some of the biggest deer I've ever had a chance to kill was late season. And there's been a lot of hunts that didn't work out. I've missed a lot of deer, and I've had a lot of hunts where they just didn't come into range, and trust me, I've been there. I've done that. But stay persistent and stay patient, and just just hunt as much as you can.
It's great advice. It really is. All right, so we just switched the mount real quick because I wanted to also talk to Sam about this other mount that he brought in. It's also Omega Giant. I mean, look at the mass on this deer. So he's going to give us a little bit of the story about this deer as well.
So what's crazy about this deer is I had hunted every day of November, every day of November. If you know me, everybody gives me crap about taking off work for a whole month to hunt.
Absolutely.
Well, I do it and I don't regret any second of it. I love it. Well, this deer that I'd killed this year, I was letting him go last year. I'd see him multiple times every time I would hunt. He was just all over our farm. And I'd let him go and let him go, let him go. Well, finally gun season rolls around and this deer, we had like a picture of him like one time in November and we just never thought nothing of it because he was only there once. Well, it's gun season, I'm set up and this was opening day of gun. I I actually seen this deer and didn't realize it. I thought it was this deer the year prior, like, I thought it was this deer at the time, and, I was letting that deer live that year. Well, so I let him go, whatever, and it gets dark, I roll out, and I get to my truck, cell cam goes off. It was this deer, and I'd realized I just messed up.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like, "Well, I hunted a whole month and just blew my opportunity." Well, the next day rolls around, I get back in the stand. It's early, dude, and this deer comes out and is eating corn in front of me, 80 yards in front of me. Mind you, I'm not even thinking about shooting her, I've let him go 50 times. Well, I had actually texted my dad that day and was like, "Man, I'm ready to shoot this 8 point. Like, it's getting bad," and I know better than to do that, but I was getting antsy. About that time, I slipped my phone back in my pocket, and I look up, here this guy comes. I'm like, "No, no shot.
No
Way,
way.
no way he's coming back in." Here he comes on a beeline. I ended up shooting him at like 153 yards with a 400 legend. He didn't even budge. He just
Wow.
dropped.
Dropped.
And it was just crazy because that deer was right in front of me when I killed him, and then this year I shoot this deer, and I was just like, that's kind of cool.
That's kind of cool.
But yeah, it was a fun hunt. It was cold. It was miserably cold.
Oh,
I mean, I was warm, but my face right here gets so cold, dude. Like, it was wind was beating me right in the face. It was cold and crap. Looked like I'd been crying for 6 hours whenever I took pictures with this thing. And, but I just think it's a cool story that I shot this one while that one was right in front of me, and then I ended up killing that one.
killing this one this year, right? So this is the year
Yep.
apart, correct?
Year apart. I actually shot both these deer off the same farm, but this deer was in front of me when I killed this one, and then this year, shot this deer last year, 2024, shot this deer this year, 2025.
Wow. What was the score on this one?
This one scored 153 and 4/8.
That is insane. Look at, I mean, just look at the mass. I mean, that's wild, man. And
He's got a lot of mass.
wow. And that's
He actually carried 5 inches of mass all the way throughout his beam.
that's insane.
He had 40 inches of mass measurements on his score sheet.
Oh my gosh. And that's another thing I was going to actually bring up, and it's actually important to talk about it. Our scoring system. Are you one of those people that believe like if it grows, it should count?
Yeah,
I agree. 100%.
100%.
100%.
I think that deducting something a deer grows, that's like both these deer are good. Like, are you going to deduct that split brow? No, I don't.
No,
Are you going to deduct that kicker off that brow?
no,
No. Are you going to deduct this kicker? Are you going to deduct him for that and that? Like,
right,
I just don't understand. I don't understand why we would be deducting something that God created.
right,
God created that animal to be that way. So
right.
why are we trying to take away from it?
And I love the look of typical deer that grow, symmetrical on both sides with the same amount of points. It's just something typical is just rare.
That's so I've never killed. I don't have any typicals.
No,
No big typicals. Every deer I kill, like, look at this dude. He's got one, two, three. Would have had four abnormals.
right,
This deer had two abnormal points. Like,
right,
I've never killed a perfectly typical deer.
right.
Never.
And I think like that's just what makes them unique. Like you said, it's God's creation, and that's just what makes them unique to themselves. So like I was just curious because I got my deer score with Buckmasters and I had 168. But I mean I took it also to the Ohio Deer and Turkey Expo and it got scored like a 128, and this is because they deducted everything, which I understand, but I mean, I just think that if it grows, it should count.
Yeah, I'm 100% on the Buckmasters scoring train, like, I don't do Boone and Crockett just for the simple fact being, why are you gonna take away from some?
Right.
I don't understand that fully,
I understand.
honestly.
I was just curious. That's an
But,
awesome deer.
yeah, I thought it was cool to kill like I said, this deer was standing in front of me when I killed this one the year prior,
Right.
and then I killed him this year, so I thought that was
It's pretty awesome.
pretty cool.
Wow. And who knows? Like I said, there's more giants out there on that property. I guarantee it. So keep the train rolling. Let's say you're 3 for 3 now. We're up year up year.
We're we're 4 for 6.
It's not bad.
4 out of the last 6 years, which I just started really getting into hunting big bucks, mature bucks 6 years ago. Like I said at the beginning of this, I grew up as a meat hunter,
Mm-hmm.
and I've kinda transformed into with my buddies and my dad and other people that into, I mean, I still eat like, I shoot does
Right.
and
Right.
I eat the meat, but
If it's a buck,
if I'm
we're
gonna
not
kill a buck,
sleeping.
I'm gonna kill a mature one. If I'm gonna kill a doe, I'm gonna kill a mature one, you know what I mean? So,
Absolutely.
I'm just growing into I'd rather hunt mature deer. I'm not saying this to be cocky, but there's not really a challenge to hunting
I
a
understand.
1 year, 2-year-old deer because
Right.
they're curious.
They're
They're so
curious.
curious, that's what gets them killed.
Right.
So, I would rather just take my time and hunt a mature one, and yeah, it's a good time.
That's awesome.
Hopefully, we can put another one down next.
Yeah. Put another one down. Hopefully, I'm with you because I need it. Well, Sam, I'm super thankful that you were here today to actually sit and talk about all these things I was curious about, and letting people get to know your story on killing a giant like this, and some of your strategies and what you've done to be successful over the years. So, I want to thank everybody for watching. We're going to be hopefully dropping another episode soon with our next guest, and this is something, like I said, I've been wanting to do for a long time. So, I'm so glad that I get to be able to do it and talk to people about their stories and everything about them. So, other than that, this is Ty Up and TDT Outdoors. Catch you later.